Welcome back to Operation Freedom, folks. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker, linked to our main freedom bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. We're here for you every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern, live. But it doesn't start and stop on Sundays from 2 to 5. Operation Freedom through DaveJanda.com is a 24/7 operation. Why? Because freedom is a 24/7 operation. And the evildoers in the world are at it 24/7, trying to strip you and every person you know and love of your freedom and liberty. That is not hyperbole. That is not an overstatement. It is, in fact, true. Our goal is to educate and empower you, to give you information you'll never get through the bought-off lamestream fake media. Today is no different. Every day is no different at DaveJanda.com. In addition to this 3-hour radio show on Sundays, I provide 4 to 5 other video format shows of information I cannot discuss on the radio or on social media platforms at DaveJanda.com. I can lead the horse you to water, but I can't make you drink. In other words, consume the content. It is to your detriment, not an overstatement, if you don't consume the content that we put there for you, that the globalist cult wants you to be unaware of. Because if you're unaware of the freedom-based content we're providing, and the content I provide is through the sources I've developed over the past 35 years behind the curtain. When I first went to D.C. to work as a consultant in healthcare policy for Ronald Reagan, and I have developed relationships over the 35 years of freedom fighters behind the curtain that funnel information to me to get to you that you will never see in the bought-off lamestream fake media. It puts people months, years, in some cases, decades ahead of the curve. As you know, one of the avenues I have used over the years to get information to the public has been Twitter. On January 8, 2021, Dave Janda was taken off Twitter for stating the following, quote, "COVID is the freedom-stripping virus, bioweapon, that adversely affected the 2020 election," end quote. For 3.5 years, I have been off of Twitter, and I was doing everything possible through the appeal process to get put back on. Never given an answer why I was taken off other than my last tweet that I just told you about. Well, with the help of our IT team led by Nick Ruiz, we were able to reestablish not my Dr. Dave Janda account, but the Operation Freedom account. And my return to Twitter was actually announced by General Michael Flynn, who said some very kind things about what I do and what my team does and how we do it. So we are now at Twitter, and our handle is the following: OP for Operation, OP 2_ freedom. If you go there, you will see that we now have a presence on Twitter. We also occasionally have a presence on YouTube when they're not stealing our views and BSing about our view counts and not announcing that our content is present. We do have a semi-presence on YouTube, although for the past week I was kicked off because, well, we posted a 1-minute video highlight of the interview I did with Dr. Peter McCullough. Well, that was enough to get me a strike and get me taken down. Yeah. And of course, Rumble, which unless your last name happens to be Bongino and you're part of that crew that has a financial tie to Rumble, well, you know what? Your channel is really kind of deep-sixed and kind of hidden, which is why DaveJanda.com is so important, and we hope you'll become part of our freedom family. A good example of that is the people that we bring forward. And a good example of that is my next guest, who is a very dear friend and someone who is an incredible patriot, who has served on the front lines of the United States military, in particular the Navy, and someone who continues to this day to dedicate his efforts to every American citizen and, frankly, every person of the world. Commander Scott Snow is a retired fighter pilot. He logged 3,200 fighter hours 2,025 hours of which were in the F-14. He also flew the F-16 and F-18. He had 618 landings on aircraft carriers, 335 combat hours. He had an illustrious military career. If I had to summarize it in a Reader's Digest Cliff Notes version, in addition to the figures I just stated, Scott was in charge of aviation operations for all carrier groups in the Pacific Ocean and oversaw operations for the Top Gun program. I've asked Scott if he could free up time today to be with us for 2 segments, an entire hour. And the reason is because he is one of the most knowledgeable people on the current forefront war that we're seeing. The forefronts being Russia-Ukraine, the Middle East, China-Taiwan, and on the domestic front, the war for our own freedom domestically. It's my honor to welcome back Commander Scott Snow. Scott, welcome back.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Honor and pleasure to be back with you again.
Scott, let's start on the domestic front. The Trump goat rodeo trial. Give us your take, because my take, based on the feedback I'm getting, is that this is not turning out the way the cult that not prosecuted, persecuted Trump anticipated. Is the feedback I'm getting off?
No, you're 100% correct. Just look at how much money he has generated in political donations to his campaign, because the American people are sick of it. We've seen this front and center. We're back to the Stalinist era of show me the man and I'll show you the crime, and immediate prosecution no matter what he did. You're taking a misdemeanor charge and trumping it up to a level of now it's a felony. I'm sorry. Now I paid off my gardener came and did the lawn, and I paid him $100, but I didn't record it on the books correctly. That's 34 counts of falsifying records and interfering with proper decorum in the realm of the deep state wannabe lawfare, and they would put me in jail for it. It's exactly what they did to him, and it's one where people are sick and tired of it, and we're at the point where we're just not going to deal with it anymore.
Scott, I want to play a clip for you that reinforces what you just articulated. There's a gentleman from New York, lives in New York, not a fan of Trump. But when he observed what was happening in this trial, such as the judge telling the jury, well, yeah, usually to get a guilty verdict, it has to be unanimous. But in this case, no, your decision doesn't have to be unanimous in order to convict him. And that was one of many judicial misconduct issues that I'm sure will be brought to the forefront in appeals. This gentleman from New York that I'm about to play the clip from watched that and the goat rodeo over the past 6 weeks, and undoubtedly before, and said, no, as you outlined, Scott, this is not the United States of America. This is a banana third world republic scenario. Let's play the clip and then get your take. Derek, hit it.
Let me say this. My mind was not made up before, but it is definitely made up now. And I will definitely be voting for Donald Trump, because the weaponization of the legal system, it is so blatant, and this corruption cannot stand. Whether I like Donald Trump or not, which I don't, I feel that it is essential that I vote for him, because I must stand against the lawfare that was put on display by the Democratic Party, Alvin Bragg, all of these folks. And it's a shame, because I'm a New Yorker. I live here in New York. And as a black man who lives in the United States and in New York, I know what it's like to have the legal system used against you, specifically targeting you. So, I mean, bro, at the end of the day, to expect us to just sit back and watch this happen and just ride with it like it's okay, like we're stupid and we don't see what's going on, that's crazy. Because if you can do something like this to a former president of the United States, just imagine, people, imagine what they can do to us. I'm sorry, but I'm all in. Trump 2024.
Scott, your take.
You're going to see him get probably 50% of the black vote. It's one where they've run roughshod over the rule of law. They've taken the forgotten men and women that they used to persecute, and now they've done it to a former sitting president. And they're going to rue the day they did this. They're all happy and celebratory right now, but what you're going to see in the future is they've set the precedent. And once conservatives and people like you, me, and everyone else that has a true conscience and right for wanting to be free are going to pin these folks down. And now we have the precedent set that you want to stick Barack Obama in the chair? Sure, we sure will. How about, Bush? We'll throw him in the chair too. How about Hillary? How about all the others that have been behind this cabal pushing against us? They just sowed the seeds of their own defeat, because now it's written in law. If they want to play this way, this is the only way they're going to learn, is that we take the exact same thing they did to Donald J. Trump, and could be any one of us, and we're going to stuff their nose right into it and put them right in that same chair.
So, Scott, as I mentioned, you had an illustrious military career as a fighter pilot and an operations chief. And the fact that you spent 3,200 hours in a fighter, 335 hours in combat, and you came out whole. You didn't come out, as you outlined, as being becoming pink mist, is a testament to the fact that you can anticipate problems before they become so magnified that your own life is put in danger, let alone taken. So, Scott, use those same skills. Tell us where you think we're going with this. There's this hearing coming up on July 11th, right? There are all these pundits out there saying, oh, they're going to send him to Rikers Island. I actually don't agree with that. But, Scott, using your skills, not beyond your situational awareness skills, your skills of evaluating where things might be going, where things are going, what do you think happens on July 11th?
Well, basically, they've already given him the victory in November. And in July 11th, they're going to, it's like parading the dead body around the city for everyone to see, look, we got him, look at us. This is how, quote, justice works. And they're going to play this up as much as they can, but they're going to find that there's no one's listening. They're in their own echo chamber saying that we did this great thing and we convicted Trump, but all it's doing is making him stronger. And what you're going to see is that they've started down this, as I've said in the past, in this box canyon, where they went down this narrative and this road where they can't talk their way out of it. They can't buy their way out of it. It's coming to a finality that they can't control, but they don't see it yet. So it is coming, and it is one, even if they take him off the campaign trail or they stick him in home arrest, they've made him so incredibly popular with everyone that has been wronged in this country and the world that everyone sees through it, and he's going to persevere and come out right in the end if they let the election go forward.
Do you believe they'll let the election go forward?
No, they won't.
What do you think they'll pull?
Truthfully, I think it's going to be a pretty major false flag that is going to happen in the September-October timeframe, and it could be something, even akin to, that's the same month, we just came out of the window for China to go against Taiwan. That's the next window, September, October. And that's when, if China's going to go and do their push, because China owns most of Washington, much like Israel does, that this could be the time that they say, oh, well, let's do the go button and let's get a massive distraction, or as Wayne Allen Root calls it, a WMD, a weapon of mass distraction, where we're going to take the attention off of what's going on. It's like, well, we're going to have to push this election off to the right, just because they will do anything and everything to stay in power.
I now want to turn to international affairs, Scott. As I mentioned, you have a vast wealth of knowledge and experience as it relates to the other three fronts of this war: Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, and the Middle East. Before we get to the particular theaters of war, I want you to address about the corruption of the U.S. government as it relates to the military-industrial complex. Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee has said a couple things recently. I'm going to read a quote to you from him, and then I'm going to play a different quote from him in your take. But the question was put to him, how corrupt is the U.S. government? And here's what he said. If anyone were to leak where the money goes when the Pentagon fails their audits, they'd be murdered. The Pentagon, that has billions of dollars that they hide, and we don't ask for any accounting of it, they never pass an audit in the history of audits. I've often said the only way we're really going to get to the bottom of this is somebody's going to walk out of one of these labs with this information and put it out on the internet before they commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head 5 times. End quote. Scott, your take.
No, it's 100% correct. Anyone in positions of power inside the U.S. government, they're bought and paid for. They're either compromised by sex, money, power, drugs, you name it, they are compromised. And so, therefore, they're controlled behind the scenes with the powers of the deep state. And the military-industrial complex is one of the major ones. If you think it was bad to be a Boeing whistleblower, try to go against the military-industrial complex. They'll end you in a minute. The biggest thing is that it's a self-licking ice cream cone of sorts. So the military-industrial complex, through the K Street lobbyists, will go into the government and get all these programs funded, and those programs will fund beyond billions of dollars. We don't need $600 hammers. We don't need a F-35 that took $1.5 trillion in research money to get finally done and out the door, and it's worthless. Fielding obsolescence one weapon system at a time. And all that money flows right back into the pockets of these corrupt criminals that are in the government. We're in a lifetime right now of government by the government for the government. We have been taken out of the loop where our voice and our vote no longer matters. They have created their own self-licking ice cream cone, and now we'll just have 88,000 IRS new employees to come and force us to pay them, extort us through taxes at the barrel of a gun to pay for this whole thing. And you need to realize, too, is that it's not just the barrel of the gun that forcing us to pay taxes. We're paying taxes to the people that actually print the money whenever they need more. Mm-hmm. So if you can just print money, it's like, why not print my taxes? It's like, why do I have to? I'm going to pay for it either way. It's like, why not just print them and just make me pay for it through inflation and cost of goods?
And Representative Burchett, I have an audio clip, and I want your take on it, also went a little bit further as it relates to what's currently happening in the country. Derek, hit it.
You have a Pentagon that has billions of dollars that they hide. We don't ask for any accounting of. They never pass an audit in the history of audits. I've often said the only way we're really going to get to the bottom of this is somebody's going to walk out of one of these labs with this information and puts it out on the internet before they commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head 5 times.
And I play that because people said, oh, Dave, you made up that quote. He didn't really say that. Well, there it is, Scott.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Scott, many people believe that the system is so fried. It's so, to use a term our IT guy, Nick, director, uses, wrecked, R-E-K-T. It's so wrecked that there's nothing you can do with the situation at hand as it relates to the money laundering through these, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, or the Middle East, or China, Taiwan. Is it so wrecked that it can't be fixed?
I do believe that we're at that precipice right now. I really don't think that we can vote our way out of it, because there's too much corruption in the system, and it's too big and too far spread to be able to vote our way out of it. Because it's not just our elected officials, it's the hundreds of thousands, millions of bureaucrats that are behind it, that they have the government job. They have the can't get fired program. I have contracts with the DLA, and since COVID, the DLA folks are only required to go into the office 1 day a week, if that. And it's no longer a functioning system, but you have this massive bureaucracy that can't unravel until we turn the money faucet off. And as soon as that's the only way to starve them out is to turn the money off. And that will finally get to a point, but that takes a concerted effort across all of our country.
Well, and Scott, as you've pointed out in previous interviews, the military-industrial complex, through their buddies in the government, have poured trillions of dollars into development of these weapon systems. I mentioned in your introduction that you flew over 2,000 hours in an F-14. So, Scott, where does the F-14 that you flew for over 2,000 hours compare to some of these newer fighters, such as the F-35S, right? Scott, would you rather be sitting in a cockpit right now of an F-14 or an F-35S that they poured trillions of dollars into over all this time period?
Dave, I'd much rather be in the Tomcat. I'd much rather be the linebacker with a baseball bat than the fat kid with a calculator. That's the difference between these two platforms. And it's one where you're going to go and, I'm going to calculate my way out of the, I can't run away. I can't carry enough bombs. I'm out of missiles. I'm totally screwed. I got hit by lightning and now nothing works. Great. I don't want to be that guy. I want the supersonic semi-truck that was the F-14. And that's why, I look at some of the Russian technology. They build their fighter jets to be fixed with a hammer. We build ours to be fixed with an ohm meter and circuit boards. That's a big difference when it comes to a wartime scenario.
Scott, you're going to join us for the next half hour, and we're going to hit the three fronts right now. Russia, Ukraine, your take. The Middle East, your take. And China, Taiwan, your take of where we're going and what we have in store for us.